Everybody, welcome to another installment of Reality Bites. Listen, I remember when I was a kid back in Inglewood, California, when we first got our cars, and when we got cars, we wanted to go to the mall, go to the movies, go places that we always walked to or took the bus to, but now we could take cars. So I remember driving places, and if I was going somewhere and I passed by somebody, a friend of mine who was on the bus or walking to the same place I was going, or somewhere near the same place I was going, they would either flag me down or I would notice them while I was traveling, and I would do what? I would bust a U-ey. You know what bust a U-ey means? It means go take a U-turn. I bust a U-ey, or I'd come all the way around the block and come right back to where they were to get them, to bring them to where I was going or near where I was going, because I had the quicker, more efficient mode of transportation. Watch this. All I'm saying to you this morning is go back. Go back. Our text today is going to be Luke 22, verse 31. Luke chapter 22, verse 31. Many times when we as believers, when we get successful, when we attain things, when we get certain places in our jobs, in our life, financially, with new cars, whatever it is that we get, many times you hear people talk about, well, if I did it myself, then they can do it themselves. Pump your brakes. I've never heard a more ridiculous or outlandish thing. Point one, you didn't do it yourself. Point two, everybody's not you. So when we get to certain places in our lives, there has to be a part to where we are looking back to where people are that in the place that we left, where people are that didn't have the opportunity that we had that allowed us to leave. So we need to go back. Now here, Jesus was talking to Peter, and Peter and Christ seem to have a lot of conflict conversations. Another story for another time, but they had a lot of great conflict conversations. Here's one of them where Christ is talking to Peter. He says, listen up, Peter, the devil, the enemy of your soul, has desired to sift you like wheat. I don't know if you remember much about when you were a kid and your grandmother would cook or your mother would cook, depending on your age, that they had this barrel type contraption that they put flour into or grain into, had a handle when they would wind it. And at the bottom, these two opposing grates would do what was called sifting your food and leave the impure stuff up top or the non-usable stuff up top and bring the pure flour or pure grain or pure wheat down into the bowl or the colander or wherever they were putting it. That's called sifting, because the process of sifting is to separate you from what's usable and non-usable. So Christ says, Peter, listen, you're not knowing it yet. You're not feeling the sting yet, but the enemy desires to break you apart, to separate you like wheat. But Christ says something huge. He says, I prayed for you that your faith doesn't fail. It's huge because Christ acknowledges that what you're about to go through, what you're about to experience, your faith has the potential and the propensity to fail. You're going to tap out, bro. If I don't pray for you, it's going to be a mess and a half. So Christ says, listen, I'm praying for you. I'm interceding. I'm standing in the gap on your behalf, Peter, so your faith doesn't fail. But here's the caveat. Knowing that the devil wants to sift you and separate you from what's usable and non-usable, knowing he wants to break you down to the smallest compound where you'll have no case but to fail, knowing that, but knowing that I've prayed for you so that success for you is certain, when you've been converted, go back and strengthen your brethren. I love it because Christ gives them the caveat of this whole thing. Listen, you're going to make it. You're going to get through. You're going to get by. You're going to come out on top. You're going to come out head over heels. You're going to make it through what you're going through because I prayed for you. But don't start smelling yourself. Don't believe your own fan mail. Don't believe the hype, because once you got in there, go back and strengthen those who didn't have the same opportunity and the same push as you did. Here's the encouragement for many of us, because we don't like to do that. Once we get saved and meet Christ and become Christians and get holy and high and mighty and suit and ties and in new churches and stained glass windows and our Bibles and our bumper stickers on our cars, what we do is we forget about the people back in the hood, back on the block, or even back in the same sin we were in. So when you see them, when you and I see them, we act as if we've never been there before. We act as if we've never gotten drunk before, never gotten high before, never been promiscuous before, never shacked up before, never did whatever the sin is, whatever the sin is that you're looking down on. You act as if you've never done that. When Christ says, on the other hand, you've come through that. You've been delivered from that. So why don't you take some of that spiritual power that you use, some of that storage of faith that you use, the people praying for you, the grandmothers, the mothers, everybody who had your back, that got you to where you are. Why don't you take that and go back to the people that you're looking down on, and as opposed to looking down on them, encourage them, help them get through, because the same struggle that you had, that you hated to be where you were, they hated just as much as you did, if not more. So when you come through, take that car you're in. When you see that friend walking where you're going, bust a Yui and go pick them up. Listen, I'm done for today, but I love you all so much. I hope you're enjoying Reality Bites, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good one.